Hello everyone, Silver Chameleon here. Welcome to this week's D&D story. This week's story is called Dungeon Master's Mom. If that title isn't telling, by the end of this you'll be groaning along with me. So, the reason why the whole Dungeon Master Mom thing gets its own story is because my mom liked to intervene in my games. So the first time Dungeon Master Mom ever happened was the first session I ever played with my characters. My mom came out of her room and yelled, "Dungeon Master's Mom says you can have a sword that can kill anything!" and walked away. When I tried to tell my players that this was invalid and not true, they went over my head and went, "No, Dungeon Master's Mom outranks the Dungeon Master." Oh, I was so annoyed, and I couldn't necessarily do anything about it. So from there on, my mom didn't really care at first about D&D. But then, she started listening into our sessions. And started asking me all these things about my plans, and she started buying all these D&D figures. And making all these stories, and painting all these characters. And I'm like, Mom, you know we're never gonna play in person, right? So mad at me that we never played in person. So, you know what? To soothe her, we played in person twice. Twice. Other than that, we've never actually played inside. And, here, let me show you something. This is my mother's wall of D&D characters, and, hang on, there's more. That's the third one. These are just the ones that are finished. If you want a better look at some of the characters, I am going to show certain ones later in the video. But, Mom loved buying these figures and painting them, even though we never played in person. So that was one of our big issues with Dungeon Master's Mom. Was her constant undermining of the DM, which was me. Her trying to tell me my stories were not good enough for my D&D campaign, and lecturing me about how I need to have better stories constantly. Could you not? This actually happened. Yelling at me for never having my players play in person so that she could use her D&D minis. And then flat out refusing to learn how to play because she thinks she's too dumb to do so. So that in general is just kind of what my mom has been like throughout the thing of playing Dungeons & Dragons. And I love her, but she got kind of ridiculous about it. So other than just kind of the Void Sword thing, there was the couple other occasions where Dungeon Master's Mom was just kind of a thing she did to tick me off. But my players, once they realized that I was going to actually keep control of the game my second campaign, when Mom said something, did not listen to what she told them they could do because I actually threatened to kill all their characters if they did so. I mean, at a certain point, wouldn't you too? But, all in all, it was a pretty low move, and I know it was, but your mom can only interrupt your D&D session so many times. Now, I know I sound like a geek that lives in my basement, but in my defense, I'm not that old. I'm not a 30-year-old if you can't tell by my face and voice. I am still a high school student at this moment in time, actually. So playing Dungeons & Dragons in my mom's house is not because I'm just a loser. I mean, I am a loser, but I'm a teenage loser. But my mom actually is really cool. She's made some pretty nifty figures. I'm going to show you one of my absolute favorite ones that she's done. So this dude is a figure my mom painted. The funny thing about this is when Mom asked me what I thought about this character, I told her it looked like my dad. And she got all kind of huffy with me and told me it does not look like your father. Well, when one of her friends said it did, Mom said, I know, whole reason I didn't give it a gray beard is because I thought it looked too much like my ex-husband. So that was funny enough. When Mom would hear about certain characters, there's a certain character in my campaigns that is kind of my staple monster. I'm DMing a campaign, I'm gonna have this in it. And that is this guy. The Butterfly Hydra. The paint job's a bit shaky because I did it. Mom heard of my Butterfly Hydra and bought me a custom-made figure just for my campaigns because I always have a Butterfly Hydra. I mean, honestly, that's really sweet. But as you saw earlier in the video, though, Mom has that entire small army. And she loves painting them. And gets so annoyed that they never get used, but I don't play in person. Which I have told her many a time. But, all in all, Mom, after the first campaign and her telling me I don't come up with good enough stories for my campaigns, it's kind of all the more it got. Other than, like, insisting she has to have the figures for every player. She's pretty chill now compared to what she was. Dungeons Master's mom progressively became less of a problem. More so as my other players became more of a problem, my mom became less of one. So, again, this is another short D&D story. I promise next week's will be longer. Until then, this is Silver Chameleon, signing off. Also, I'm sorry for the video being in portrait this week. That was my fault. I kind of recorded this last minute, and that completely slipped my mind till the end of video. I am so sorry. This is Silver Chameleon signing off, for real this time.